I know. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna put some math on in the background. Okay.
I checked Allstate first and saved hundreds of my car insurance.
So
Unfortunately,
many
I did not check
ads.
my outfit before meeting my girlfriend, so
Bad. That's why I wasn't around.
check Allstate first. You can save hundreds. Yeah. At Aldi, we don't have massive stores that waste your time. So you can shop fast and get home fast. I got your favorite.
I give to you Minecraft Diaries Season 2. Enjoy. What are we going to do? Since our last lord passed away, the people have been going crazy. Not to mention we're running low on local resources.
I'd rather not, considering it's on the, it'd be on the internet. I don't exactly want to tell people about my deep psychotic thoughts.
Day 1, and now it is time to, of course, find some shelter.
Ooh, look at my nails though.
As you can see, the day has just begun, so I've got plenty of time. There's a lot of trees around here, so I should be good in terms of getting like a crafting bench going and all that kind of stuff. But let's just go ahead and try to find like a nice.
I'm currently crocheting a shirt out of plastic bags.
Let's try to find like a nice little hole or something I can.
Me too.
Come here, I need to talk to you. I need to find a nice little hole. If you happen to know like where a hole. Where'd he go? Oh my God, he did. Oh. That really upsets me. The fact that. Come here, hey. Come here, I need to talk to you. You just left that tree. You just really left that tree undone. You just literally where. Oh
Thank
my God,
you. They're mine. They're just mine with base coat, 2 layers of base coat, and then a matte coat on top.
He's gone, but you know what?
Yeah, their hands like that too.
There's some awesome guards here. This guard is pretty cool.
It was inspired by, well, one, the look of like naked, like scary nails, and also like the decomposing of the human body. Can we see that I've been studying creepy stuff again? I would love to work at a morgue. I don't think it's a good idea though. It was kind of inspired by like the naked look of the nail, and then also like when the human body is decomposing in a casket, the skin recesses because it doesn't have moisture, and so it gives the illusion that your nails are growing. So kind of that. I cut my thumbs really short again because I didn't talk about this, but a while ago, I think it was this thumb, my nail snapped and started snapping downwards, which if we know how nails work, that's attached to my actual finger, and so I couldn't do anything with it for a while. And it's like grown out mostly now. But basically it was snapping upwards, like through it. And let's say I tried to file it or do anything to it, water and moisture could have gotten under, and I could have gotten like sepsis or something and died. So that would have sucked for y'all.
So first things first, let's go ahead and
Hi.
with the crafting bench. The basics of Minecraft. Literally,
I feel like my TV's too loud. I'm gonna turn it down with my phone. Ooh, what the hell's going on? There we go. What are all these? Oh, you can play games on YouTube Live now? Oh, that's weird. That's so weird. Okay. I guess that's cool. I guess they updated that in the time I was too busy thinking about everything awful in the world. But yeah, so I'm taking plastic bags that I've cut up and strung together, and I'm crocheting them. I think this is like roughly 10 maybe 15 bags, and I'm crocheting them into like this like it's not rough, it's not scratchy, into like this like net thing, and then I'm gonna make straps and little short sleeves, and it's gonna be a top. It's gonna be like my tie-dye top, how that one fits. I'm learning how to crochet recently. Oh, that's great. I really hope you get into the plastic crochet. It's addicting. Another great thing you can do, I've made a video about this too. I don't think anyone really watches all my videos. Um but I made a video about the sweater thing where you can take apart factory made sweaters for the yarn. Because I did that and I started making a sweater with that and scrap, and then I got distracted and bored. But I was gonna block it so it was like a light long sleeve sweater thing. I only know how to chain crochet. It is. I'm just doing let me show you what I'm doing. I'm just doing like the first row was a chain crochet, as you've already learned. But what I'm doing is literally the next stitch you should be learning. And it's literally you take your hook, you go through a hole, you take ah, you take, you go around. You don't pull all the way through. You take again, and then you do. I'm trying to do it slow. Pull all the way through, and I think that's just a half. It yeah, I think this is a half double. Is the technical name. I don't know any of the names. And I think at some point I made up a stitch and now I use it. So if you're ever like, that's not a stitch in my work while I'm trying to explain something, there's a good chance I made it up and I didn't realize, and now it's really ingrained in my head. But yeah, so it's basically just a slightly taller version of the single, where also, if you can see, you see me in between ish. I can see you, but yeah, you see that? It's just a smidge see through. Especially if you're like me and you're using a hook that's too big for the thing, because well, I want it to be a little bit like a net, but not so much like a net that I like would have to wear a shirt underneath it. So, but yeah, I'm just making a t-shirt. Not even a t-shirt. I'm making a plastic shirt. That happens to be in the shape of a t-shirt. And I'm thinking about doing that again, but with eyes on my boobs. Go ahead, do it. Even if you don't like it. I'm like I I'm assuming a good chunk of people have seen the eco brick videos I've been doing, which have been the last like 3. I've lost my ever loving mind apparently. Is now I'm just taking all the scrap plastic from all this and around my house and around my world and around everywhere, and I'm compacting it into bricks. Because what else am I going to do with it? The landfills can't recycle it. The recycling centers can't really recycle it. Especially if it's like a black plastic like this, they have a really hard time recycling it, because even recycling centers that can recycle bags or just like normally non-recyclable plastics, they use a system where it sees colors. This looks like nothing on that system. It's it's basically catching like lights and like sensors and stuff, and so a lot of the time this gets thrown away anyway. Just if it's like black, it it's not getting recycled. I'm sorry. Gray might apply too, because I think it just shows up as a like a shadow. which is so weird.
What is that noise? That was creepy. That was like really creepy. All right then.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll just ignore it for the time being. And
The whole world's on fire, and
start to make a better like upgrade.
it's really weird. I've been experiencing
All right. So I got a nice little house
um
for the time being. Until I get
some
like evicted
issues.
for that not being my
I
house.
talked about it on
Hello there,
my
Karen
TikTok
Baker. Good to see you. And there
in
you go.
hopes of getting validation that I'm not crazy.
Um. Okay.
That
Time to make
didn't
some
happen.
upgrades.
I got
And
you're going
also,
through a psychotic episode, you dumbass.
all set.
This isn't a psychotic episode. I know what me having a psychotic episode is like. It's not this. But it's very weird. It's very, very weird. It feels like I've always been here. It's a very weird feeling, and it's frankly a scary feeling, because I don't know if I've made it up, because this is new. And so it could be my brain trying to rationalize feelings of the world, but I don't think I'm looking at myself. I'm not looking into you, I promise. Um I don't think that's what happened, and it's a very weird feeling. And I'm gonna leave it at that, because frankly, there's weird shit happening everywhere. If you are really paying attention to the conspiracy theorist of the world, I kind of always have. And so there's a lot of really weird shit going on. And so I'm gonna keep um, those feelings here. I'm not gonna express those feelings in detail, because who knows what will happen. Uh, but yeah, it's a weird phenomenon. I don't um like, I've had to some degree, like that there's a disorder where you just, for some reason, out of nowhere, you think you're dead. And I've had that a little bit, not to the degree of I actually think I'm dead, but like I'm laying there and I'm just like, I'm dying. Like that feeling of death, I've had that somewhat. I think it's the severity of my depression. I don't know if it's a disorder. I think it's classified as a disorder. But it's like you're okay, so you know how bipolar and schizophrenia and all that stuff works. How it's basically like your brain's like a ticking time bomb, just waiting for something to set it off. Because technically we are all susceptible to all personality disorders and stuff. Um there was a case in Germany, actually. I think it was Germany, it might have been Dutch, of this guy who was in this band. I can't remember their name. I think it was some blonde guy. He had, out of nowhere, like his brain had snapped and been like, "You're dead. You're not real. None of this is real. You're dead." And he ended up killing himself. And that's like the most famous case of it ever, because it's very rare to have it to that extreme. But it's basically like I guess it would be considered like the end all be all of depression. Is your brain's being like, "You're dead. Nothing's real. You're dead. Nothing's." And I've had that for, not to that extreme, but like little spouts, where I'm laying in my bed and I'm like, am I real? I might not be real. Am I? Who knows? I'm just laying there. I'm like, timelines are a thing. Maybe I'm in a different timeline. Maybe me in a different place died. Like, it's that type of thing. I don't know. I also I'm experiencing a lot of stuff that I don't want to say publicly to the fullest extent because I'm very fucking scared. I live with my parents and I don't leave the home, so I am fine. Okay, I am fine. There's if I'm gonna go somewhere to kill myself, someone's gonna get me and stop me. I have I have precautions. I am fine. But there's a lot of things that don't add up great. And there's histories of people showing signs like that and then getting killed. So we're just not gonna talk about it in depth. This is not a new thing though. If you have watched enough of my stuff, you are probably aware of it to some degree, especially if you um have any sort of personality disorder or anything. Like I've shown signs of bipolar disorder my whole life. I'm not diagnosed. Whole life, I've shown signs. I'm sounding like a fucking crazy person in a pick me as much. You know what I'm sounding like? That Tyler catastrophe fuck on TikTok. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? The motherfucker that was like, I'm in love with William Gold. What the? I'm sounding like that. Side note, um, the motherfucker said that he's like spiritually too spirited. I'm not a lot Native American, but what the fuck? Like I like genetically mutt in that department and all the information's gone. But what? What? The motherfucker was like, okay, so let me give you a breakdown. I've been forced to learn about him. And let me say, this is the most positive PR Wilbur has probably gotten in like what, 4 years? This motherfucker. I'm not being mean to anyone, okay? He was like, I was at home in Britain. I was at home for the first time forever. And he came back to the US and was like, I'm spiritually too spirited and it doesn't matter that I'm fully white. Like not like ooh, like a great grandparent. Or like maybe you're like me and you have separate greats on each side and it adds up funny. No, he's zero. He's zero. Like not even like, ooh, 5%. No, 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 no. Zero. He also like lied about getting a job and like other shit and like it's all very icky. I'm not gonna be mean. I'm not gonna throw cheap shots, but like it icky. It like psychologically icky. It ooh. It gross. It gross. And like I'm not gonna say anything on Wilbur because I have my own complex uh feelings. Um just about everything. This motherfucker, I'm not even joking, is like, I'm completely and utterly in love with him. Grown man. Not teenage girl. Not teenage boy. Grown man. Older than me. Claiming that he's like completely and utterly in love with him. What the fuck? What in hell? Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Creepy. It creepy. I've had people be creepy to me, and so I'm giving my 2 cents. It's creepy. Like, okay, like maybe he has some sort of problem. Supposedly he was hit by like a bus or something. I don't know. I'm honestly trying not to hear about him, and then people tell me about him. It's weird. It's weird. The whole thing's weird. He he's supposedly disabled, according to him. I'm not gonna deny if he's disabled or not, because frankly it's not my place whatsoever. So we're gonna leave that alone. But oh, I know of Stray Kids. I do not know anything about Stray Kids. Aren't they a K-pop thing? I have never, weirdly enough, like as much of as like a nerd I am, never been to K-pop. Never for even a second. Anytime I hear anything about K-pop too, it's like it's real culture vulture-y, and I don't fuck with that. And so, shoo, 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 shoo. What'd you see? I'm curious. And that's great for you. I'm not gonna diss your thing. It's not my place. I am curious to what they saw in that museum. Oh yeah, to anyone that doesn't know, we're crocheting a shirt. There's also dust on my table still from today when I filed my nails. I did my nails, not I filed my nails. Was I talking about? For the sake of my citizenship, even though I was born here, I'm not going to comment on whether I encourage that behavior or not. You're in the UK, right? Because if that's not in the UK, that someone's fixing to be in trouble. Oh, that was a disgusting sound I made with my tongue. That was icky. Okay, good. Because, frankly, with the way the US is acting, I think we're all a little in danger, especially considering he tried to basically make a thing where he was like, if you disrespect the US or show any signs of communism, where the fuck you leave. And that's very Red Scary. Look up the Red Scare. I've never watched any of them. Yeah, I can't remember if he did or if like some court did, but it was something like if you show signs of like anti-Americanisms or like a dislike for the government or like signs of communism. The mother, those fucks, I can't pronounce it. Um, ew, no. What? Listen, I'm not gonna comment because I would like to continue living here. Frankly, everything happening is very gross. And frankly, I shouldn't have to be scared, but a lot of people are very scared. And while I could very well uh, thrive in Mexico, Canada, I don't think I'd get sent there. And anywhere else, I don't think I'm gonna live. I mean, Mexico's having its own issues right now, but I would like to put my bets on if I had to, I would live in Mexico compared to a lot of places in the world right now. Sadly, they are dealing with shit. Um, you're not the only one. A lot of US media is not getting media from people around the world that are scared for the US, which is terrifying because it's very and mouthing because he wants to be those people's friends. And frankly, this is not the first time the US has kind of screwed ourselves over like this. Let's remember our the US's behavior before look into mental health facilities prior to the Holocaust. Um and frankly we can survive now. Um a lot of the US is being left kind of in the dark. And I feel like we're going back in time with me having to um, say this on the internet. Yes, and I'm very proud of you for thinking that way because at the end of the day, we are all human. Um, there's a lot of people that are looking into a lot of conspiracies that basically every single president and every single elected official um, was picked for us. Can compared to like like if they're distant relatives of like these people or like if they're distant relatives of like the original royal family in England and like all this stuff because there's patterns that are creepy and they could be coincidences. It could be completely in our psyches in the back of our heads and we haven't even noticed. It could be simple as that. Or Or it could be the scary thought that we have no actual control of anything. And a lot of people are thinking that. And I'm not gonna lie when I say I'm insanely disappointed in America. I am. I frankly I consider myself a Texas citizen before I consider myself an American citizen. And I don't think I'm the only Texan that feels that way. I mean, we were our own like country at one point. Granted, we fell on our asses, and Mexico had to save us like twice. But a lot of people are, yes. I don't know if you're paying attention, but we're on like our fourth marital like scandal in the last like 3 months, and they keep kicking women out. Women, please don't go with this belief of, well, we just need to give all the power to the men because they're gonna take your power away. It's not the other women. You don't comprehend. Please educate yourselves. Oh my God. Another thing to all my USA America land fans. There's not a lot of us, but I know a lot of us are in Texas and California and New York. New York, for some reason, we're kind of in the end, in the middle. It's very odd. Look up on Tubi. You can go on Tubi for free. There's a lot of movies from the 1920s that I want you to watch. Um, Literally, just look at the behavior in the movies. Now, I will say, sometimes the behavior is not good. A lot of these movies are based in racist blackface beliefs and sexist ideologies. It is disturbing, but you have to swallow your fear a little, and you have to watch it because a lot of these movies were made before the massive crackdown on like the Red Scare and the Hays Code and all these things. If you don't know what the Hays Code is, it's basically something that was made for television to be like, you can't do that, that's immoral. And it's very based, very based in Western religion. That did not happen until the 50s. Go watch the 50s and the 40s, I think, is when that happened. Go watch literally any movies from the 1920s. Research the women in those movies. Look at their behavior, look how they're dressed, look how they're acting, look at their hair, look at all of it. All of it's based in political beliefs. They had to experience a recession and a fear after World War II, where basically they sent all the women home and went, go be ladylike. Don't be strong, don't be beliefful. Go be ladylike, go have addictions and get beat by your husbands. That is scarily how a lot of young men are acting and thinking. So go look at the movies from the 1910s and 1920s, hell, even the 1930s. Research Alice White and Clara Bow and Bessie Love, and there's so many more. Go research so many of them. Hell, you want a little more recent? Go research Elizabeth Taylor. She died in fucking 2011. There's so many women who were not the traditional woman and wore that in their fucking movies before the hate Code. Go research it. No, not really. I had to take a break because I fucked up my wrist, and then I had to take another break because I got sick. But yeah, go watch a lot of movies before the 1940s. They they want to really suppress us. They're gonna have to ban literally 100-year-old history. They really want to do that. A lot of those movies, granted, do have some sexist beliefs and some racist shit, which is very upsetting. But go watch those. Don't care. Also, don't clarify that. That's a safety risk to you. If you don't know where to start, let me think of some. There's a movie called I think it's Showgirl in Hollywood, and then there's another movie that I've watched repeatedly called The Girl in the Show. Okay, now this movie, it does have blackface in it. I know, but yeah, bite your tongue. Yeah, swallow. You can't look away from the TV. I'm sorry. That movie is literally about a girl doing what's right for her fucking sister. Go watch it. I think it's from like 1928. If I remember correctly, Bessie loves the chick in it. And I think it was around the time she was married to William Hawke. But go watch that fucking movie. It's on Tubi. It's not that long. It's under 2 hours. I think it's like maximum an hour and 40 minutes. Go watch that movie. I don't even give a shit if you leave me here. Go watch that fucking movie. Go pay attention to that movie. Granted, there's like a solid 15 minutes of blackface, and that is creepy. I am telling you, it's fucking creepy, and it's disturbing. But her behavior in that movie is a lot more important than a lot of stuff. I sound completely insane, as you should. What are other movies? I recently watched The 7 Year Itch, which has Marilyn Monroe in it. I highly recommend that. And also Meet Me in St. Louis, who has Judy Garland in it. Watch that. Sadly, those are after the Hays Codes, I believe. Um, there are some other movies you can watch. A lot of Lucille Ball's, the chick that played Lucy. Um, a lot of her early movies, I believe, are before the Hays Code and are insanely very, very good. And she never really played into this role of the overtly feminine, um, like, carrot picture. I know I say carrot picture like carrot picture. I know that. Don't fucking correct me. You know what I'm saying. Um, a lot of what Lucille Ball was in throughout her entire life is very important to the idea of women. Very important to just a lot of stuff. I would not pay attention to the fact that she literally wrote her husband into a show so he wouldn't cheat on her. Fuck you, Desi. Um, I would look into her kids though, because her kids were in a show with her at one point. Later on to her professional career, they were in a show with her, and they looked fucking adorable. Granted, they were grown, but they looked so much like their parents. It was precious. I would watch that. I think it's I think it's called the Lucy Show. I think it was the Lucy Show. That's a really good show. Watch that show. Desi is not in that show. I believe Desi was alive while it was going on, which if he wasn't, very sad. But he was a cheating bastard. So, what were other movies? I would very much research Bessie Love. She's one of the not necessarily like a star of the 1920s, but she was in a handful of movies, which is very important for the time because clearly she's important. If it was, kept track of, I would look into her, and then also her husband, William Hawke, no relation to Ethan Hawke, which is very weird because I believe it's spelled the same way. How odd is that? He was previously married to Virginia Walker, which we all know the name, but none of us really know the face. She was also an actress, I believe. Look into her too. I think she was a little later, career wise, not after Bessie. She was prior to Bessie. But research her as well. She research her. It's very depressing that we have to look into movies before the Hays Code, and they happen to have things like blackface in them. And I'm not even gonna whisper that because I'm not scared of it. It's disturbing. It's not okay. It's very depressing that we are in a time where, for the sake of women's brains, we have to look at those movies before the Hays Code because they were before the fucking Hays Code. It's very depressing that they do have so much problematic shit in them as blackface and yellowface and people pretending to be Native American and people doing things like what they did to Rita Hayworth. I adore Rita Hayworth. She lived a depressing fucking life. If you don't know anything about Rita Hayworth, she is, I believe, during the act of the Hays Code is when she started getting her start in Hollywood. She was a dancer prior. She had a insanely depressing life, and sadly had to go through what a lot of women who were white passing had to go through, and basically wash any sort of feature. I don't know what that is. Um, she basically had to go through surgeries and a lot of fucked up shit to make her less Latin looking, which is insanely depressing. And she wasn't the only one. Um, so once again, don't know what you are talking about. But yeah, look into Rita Hayworth as well. Not for the sake of the Hays Code, but for the sake of keeping her fucking name alive. There's not an insane amount of information about Rita Hayworth, but there's enough to know her her life. She did not have a happy life. It was it was quite depressing. She was born in New York, though. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. She was fucking stunning before they made her essentially whitewash herself, which is very depressing. She was beautiful after too, of course, but she truly was just a knockout prior. Like like when you think of like some of the most beautiful women, I would argue that Rhea Hayworth before everything they made her do is is up there, no matter what. But yeah, what else? I'm itching my nose. What else are movies that people should look into? Things with Alice White in it. You probably don't know who Alice White is. She was in movies at one point, and she kind of had the same look ish as Claire Bow, which was very weird. But that would happen a lot in studios where they would get actresses that look enough alike to play a similar role because obviously you could not go to another studio as a studio and be like, we want that girl in this movie. Because they'd be like, we own her, you dumb fuck. And it was very weird. So they would find girls that looked alike ish and then dress it up with hair and makeup to look more alike to whoever they were trying to basically get a knockoff of. And sadly, that was Alice White's life. But she was very very cute. Who else? What else? I can't think of any. But yeah, that's just it's depressing. There's a good chance that you're gonna be sitting there going, "What the fuck?" Because it's such a disgusting thing. But it's important. It's important to look back on. We can't pretend it didn't happen because it did happen. It affected people's lives, and in people's emotions and hurt people's feelings, so we have to look back on it. Women get murdered for saying, no, I don't want to fuck you, so. And men murder women more times than not for saying no. I made a moo and a jacket that I got a decade ago that smells like dryer because I wear it so little. Um, None of your business. But I'm gonna head out, honestly. Because my phone's probably gonna die. That's 100%. Yep. It's on 30%. It was on like 41 on here. Love y'all. Bye bye. Please go watch movies before the Hays Code. Love you.